The Shadows Without a Face. Ethan was a painter known for capturing the subtle moods of twilight and dawn, but lately, his work had taken a darker turn. It began when he noticed a shadow lurking in the backgrounds of his paintings, an indistinct figure that seemed to watch silently, but had no face. At first, he thought it was a trick of light or an unintentional brushstroke, but the shadow appeared again and again, growing clearer and more defined with each piece. The studio, once a sanctuary, felt colder, as if the shadow had slipped through the brushstrokes and into his reality. Sleep became elusive as Ethan found himself haunted by dreams where the faceless shadow stood silently in dark corners, watching him. Each morning, he awoke with a faint chill and the feeling that something unseen had moved closer overnight. Determined to understand, he began to paint the shadow from memory, hoping to capture its true form. Yet, every time he tried, the figure remained faceless, a void where a face should be, drawing his gaze like a silent riddle that refused to be solved. One evening, as rain tapped against the window, Ethan noticed the shadow had shifted position in his latest painting. It now loomed closer, its edges blurred yet more imposing. He felt a strange pull, as if the shadow was beckoning him to uncover a secret hidden within the veil of darkness. His curiosity mingled with growing dread, for the shadow seemed less like a mere shape and more like a presence, an echo of some forgotten fear lurking just beyond sight. Driven by an urge he couldn't explain, Ethan decided to visit the old part of town where he had first glimpsed the shadow in his mind's eye. The streets were deserted under the heavy fog, and the silhouettes of abandoned buildings stretched like fingers into the night. As he walked, the faceless shadow seemed to flicker at the edge of his vision, always just beyond reach. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with a growing sense that he was stepping into a story that had no clear ending. Inside an abandoned gallery, Ethan found a dusty mirror cracked along its surface. When he looked into it, the reflection didn't show his face clearly. Instead, it shimmered and blurred, revealing the same faceless shadow standing behind him. Startled, he spun around, but the room was empty. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and for a moment, Ethan felt as if he was staring at a version of himself stripped of identity, swallowed by that faceless darkness. Returning home, Ethan found his studio transformed. Canvases once blank now bore the shadow's presence, swirling and shifting as if alive. The boundary between his paintings and reality had thinned. The shadow no longer stayed hidden in the background. It began to reach toward him, an intangible force pressing against the edges of his mind. Yet, despite the growing unease, Ethan felt an irresistible pull to continue painting, as if revealing the secret of the faceless shadow was the only way to reclaim himself. In the final moments, as Ethan completed his largest piece, a towering canvas, entirely consumed by the formless shadow, he realized the truth. The faceless figure was not an intruder, but a reflection of his own fears, his lost identity, and the parts of himself he had long ignored. The shadow without a face was the void inside him, an echo of isolation and uncertainty. And by confronting it in his art, Ethan found a fragile peace, understanding that some shadows are not enemies, but parts of ourselves waiting to be acknowledged.